sit at my desk, the fluorescent lights casting a pale glow across the polished surface. My fingers hover over the mouse. One click, and everything should be ready. Everything I've poured weeks into. Every chart, every slide, my name stamped across them. But then, it's gone. Shock hits me, not the kind that knocks you off your feet, but the quiet, pressing kind that sinks in from all directions. I blink, double blink, tap the mouse. Nothing. I scroll through the deck. My name, bold yesterday, now an empty space, completely erased, deliberate, calculated. The cursor moves smoothly, but each motion feels louder somehow, echoing in the silent tension of the office. Not this time, I think. My eyes narrow, jaw tightens. I breathe slowly, controlled. The office hums around me, but it's like in my own world. Anger coils in my chest, but I don't let it escape. They really thought I wouldn't notice. My hand tightens around my coffee mug. Steam curls up, fogging my glasses. The bitter scent grounds me. Frustration twists inside, restless, sharp. But I do not act. Reaction is a luxury. Control is power. I lean back, scanning the office. Colleagues chatter, oblivious. Lights flicker across polished desks. My laptop screen glows, illuminating my face, focused, calm. This isn't just a missing name. It's a quiet theft, a gamble that I won't see it, that I won't fight back. But I see it. I open the version history. Timestamps, edit logs, proof waiting for me. My fingers trace the screen edge, nails tapping softly, crisp, real. Every change, every revision. That recorded. The truth doesn't disappear. It waits, patient. My eyes reflect the screen. Shock, hurt, frustration, yes. But underneath it all, something sharper begins to form. Strategy. They miscalculated. They thought chaos would blind me, that anger would make me stumble. I press my lips together. A deliberate inhale. The hum of the lights pulses like a metronome, counting down the seconds before action. Let them think they have the upper hand. Control, not confrontation. I open the backup. Timestamps. Hidden copies, everything aligns. Every detail irrefutable. Every moment I wasn't allowed to claim, preserved in the light of this screen. They wanted to erase me. But truth doesn't need to shout. It only needs to be shown. I lean back slightly, a faint smile tugging at my lips, calm, composed. The storm hasn't passed, but I am anchored. They will never understand. Patience, precision, proof. I glance at the doorway. Coworkers moving, unaware. A subtle tightening of my jaw. Not this time. Not ever. The backup file waits on the screen. Tension hums in the air. Electric. Quiet. The story is only beginning. A junior colleague presents a chart. They falter slightly, glancing at the slides with uncertainty. The boss nods approvingly. I note the hesitation. I note the gap. Every crack in their overconfidence is a doorway. I rest my hands lightly on the table, fingertips brushing against the smooth surface. My reflection in the polished wood is steady, unshaken. The room feels charged with misperceived control, their dominance only temporary, fragile. I inhale slowly, calm, quiet, confident. The storm has not yet broken, but I feel its edges, its shape, its timing. As I watch them take credit for what I built, I allow a faint, almost imperceptible smile to tug at my lips. Not smug, not gloating, controlled. A signal to myself, a foreshadowing. The advantage is mine. They don't know yet. I lean back slightly. Posture perfect. Eyes scanning the room with serene calculation. The meeting continues, but I am already several moves ahead. I will not speak yet. I will not act yet, but when the moment comes, I will step forward not in anger, but in proof, not in spite, but in clarity. And in that subtle, silent certainty, I feel the first flicker of satisfaction. Would you walk away or fight back? Tell me in the comments. Sit at my desk, the afternoon sun spilling through the blinds in sharp stripes across the polished surface. The office hums quietly, computers whir, printers tick in the distance, distant voices murmuring in the background. The chaos of the world beyond my desk feels muted here. This is my space, my control, my moment. Fingers hover over the keyboard. I tap once, twice, then settle into a rhythm click. Clack, scroll, deliberate, and precise. Each keystroke resonates softly, punctuating the quiet hum. I pull up the main presentation folder, then the backups, then the hidden versions tucked away in obscure directories. My eyes glide over file names, dates, and timestamps. Receipt ready, I whisper under my breath. I lean forward, letting the glow of the screen illuminate my face. Every detail is laid bare. Saved drafts, previous edits, timestamps on each modification. I trace the lines of text and charts with my eyes, each one a testament to late nights, to unacknowledged hours of work. They think they could erase me? Every click, every entry here proves they were wrong. I slide a folder across the desk. The subtle scrape of paper against polished wood fills the silence. Stacks of printed notes, color-coded and meticulously organized, lie in front of me. The texture is crisp under my fingertips. Smooth, firm, real. Tangible proof of what I already know. I am not invisible. A cup of coffee steams beside me, its aroma rich and grounding. I take a measured sip, letting it anchor me, letting the warmth seep through the tension coiling quietly in my chest. I almost smile at their arrogance, the way they presented my work as if it were theirs, the casual assumption that I would not notice. I cross-reference files side by side, yesterday's version against the latest, annotations against finalized charts. Each highlight, each correction, each subtle tweak is a thread of my authorship woven into the deck. I run my finger lightly across a highlighted line, feeling the memory of my own hand in the work. The mouse clicks rhythmically. The cursor glides over timestamps, slowly scanning, highlighting, verifying. Each tick of the digital clock in the corner reminds me of the meeting soon to come. They will see, but not yet. Not until the moment is right. I pull up the version history for the main slide deck. Each entry is a breadcrumb. Dates, times, edits, comments. The narrative of my labor is irrefutable. The cursor hovers over a critical log, and I let it linger. Subtle satisfaction curves my lips. They truly believe they are untouchable. I reach for another folder of notes, the paper rustling lightly as I flip through. Every spreadsheet, every memo, every email chain is aligned with precision. I check each against the backup, confirming consistency. My mind catalogs potential counter-arguments, potential interruptions, each one neutralized before it can arise. Outside, faint laughter drifts from the hallway. Colleagues congratulating themselves on what they perceive as victory. I let the sound wash over me, detached but keenly aware. Their confidence will be their undoing. I tap a few keys, opening the secure folder with the time-stamped slides. The glow of the screen highlights the edges of my eyes, sharp and calculating. I scroll through each page methodically, tracing the edits, confirming authorship. Every note, every chart, every correction bears my mark. Receipt ready. I whisper again. A private affirmation. Calm, precise, unshaken. The storm is not yet upon them, but I can feel the outline of it forming, waiting for the right moment to strike. I gather the files into one neat stack, aligning edges carefully. The tactile sensation is grounding the paper crisp under my fingertips, a reminder that the truth is tangible, undeniable. I slide the folder to the side, letting it rest beside the glowing laptop. My proof is ready. My patience, too. The office hums around me, a low, constant drone of productivity. I lean back slightly in my chair, hands clasped lightly, eyes on the screen. A faint smirk flits across my face, not arrogance, but a quiet acknowledgment of inevitability. They think they've won. They do not see the groundwork laid beneath their missteps. I glance at the clock. Soon, the meeting. Soon the room will be full of assumptions, of misjudged confidence, and I will be the one holding the facts. The advantage, quiet and precise, rests entirely in my hands. I tap the folder lightly, almost reverently. The paper whispers back under my touch. Smooth, solid, certain, receipt ready. A subtle tension hums through the air, electric and restrained. I sit up straighter. Posture. Perfect. Calm. Confident. Calculated. The confrontation will come, but I will be ready. And when it does, every microsecond of preparation, every careful edit, every silent observation will matter. Every subtle glance, every reaction, every claim they make will be met with one undeniable truth. The work is mine. I lean back once more, a faint smile tugging at the corner of my lips. Not for them. For me. The room around me is quiet, but the anticipation is tangible. The storm has not yet broken, but soon, it will. Be honest, what would you do if it was you sitting in that room? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear you. The morning hum of the office is different, softer, charged, anticipatory. Coffee machines hiss in the distance, the bitter aroma drifting over polished desks. Fluorescent lights flicker faintly, blending with the golden sunlight spilling through blinds. Shadows stretch and shrink across the conference room, dancing over faces unaware. I stand just outside the door, hands clasped loosely at my side. The subtle squeak of my shoes on the tile echoes in the hallway, each step deliberate. I inhale, letting the warm scent of coffee and faintly waxed wood anchor me. Calm, patient, ready. Inside, my colleagues arrange themselves around the long table. Micro-gestures abound, unnoticed by most, but not by me. A senior associate leans back, smug, fingers steepled, believing mastery over the room is his alone. A junior colleague fidgets with their pen, gaze flicking toward the projection screen, uncertainty barely hidden. The boss sits forward, nodding approvingly at rehearsed lines, oblivious to the truth behind the work. I linger in the threshold for a moment longer. My reflection shimmers faintly on the glass door, composed, steady, collected. Every movement I make is intentional. No gesture wasted. Not here. Not now. Patience, I remind myself. Observation first. The projector hums to life. A soft flicker, then a steady glow illuminating the first slides of the deck. The room fills with a quiet light, bathing faces in the cold wash of fluorescent overhead. I notice subtle changes. A quick glance at the clock, the tightness of a jaw, the way someone shifts weight from one foot to the other. Each detail, a note in the rhythm of the moment. Coffee cups clink, papers shuffle. Someone clears their throat nervously. Laughter flickers inappropriately. Forced. The room thinks it's casual, relaxed. They are unaware. I settle into the conference room doorway, posture straight, chin lifted slightly. Fingers brush lightly against my laptop bag, prepared, aligned, precise, every element in place. The files, the timestamps, the proof, ready. All of it waiting for the perfect moment to tip the scale. I watch micro-expressions, a gallery of subtle tells, A colleague's smirk falters when another glances at them. The junior associate's eyes dart toward the screen again, hesitation betraying thought. The boss adjusts his tie unconsciously. A flicker of arrogance, a momentary uncertainty. All of it catalogued, noted, stored for later. Calm, patience, confidence. I breathe slowly, letting the office's mundane noises sharpen my senses. The faint hum of the projector, the rhythmic tapping of keys, the scratch of pen on paper, they are the soundtrack of anticipation. Nothing rushes, nothing is forced. The world outside could be burning. I remain still, observing, calculating, ready. The slides flicker again. Light dances over polished surfaces, catching reflections in glasses, shiny pens, and the table's varnish. Shadows stretch across the boss's face, emphasizing lines he thought were controlled. I notice a faint tension ripple across the room. Subtle, almost imperceptible but real. The air carries the taste of expectation, like the first inhale before a storm. I cross my arms lightly, leaning slightly against the doorway. The chair's leather squeaks softly under a shifting weight. Colleagues murmur, unaware of the storm quietly gathering at the edge of the room. Their confidence blinds them. My calmness sharpens in contrast. Each subtle gesture, each hesitant glance, each movement of hands and eyes is data. I catalog everything. Where attention drifts, where egos show cracks, where arrogance blinds judgment. These small fissures, unnoticed by most, will become the stage for what comes next. I trace a fingertip along my laptop bag again, feeling the smooth, reassuring surface. Everything aligned, every backup verified, every timestamp in place. All that work, every painstaking edit, poised for the moment it will speak louder than words. I allow a slow exhale, almost imperceptible. The quiet thrill of control hums beneath the surface. Their casual confidence is deliciously misplaced. Soon, it will collapse quietly, elegantly, irrefutably. The room shifts slightly as someone clears their throat, glances at the clock, adjusts posture. Subtle tension ripples through the group, though they are unaware of its true source. I smile faintly, a small private acknowledgment. Not yet, just a few moments longer. I step lightly to my assigned seat, placing my laptop in front of me. Fingers brush the keyboard, feeling the cool plastic, the soft resistance of each key. My eyes scan the faces around the table, noting alignment, posture, and the false comfort of assumption. Everything is ready. The room is set. The actors are in place. The story I have been waiting to tell is at its precipice. I settle my hands calmly on the table, shoulders back, spine straight. A subtle shift of weight. A controlled exhale. Nothing in my demeanor betrays the storm quietly coiling within me. And then, in the stillness, in that quiet tension, I whisper under my breath, almost to myself, "Time to return what's mine. You won't believe what happens next." Hit subscribe so you don't miss it. The moment comes suddenly, though I've anticipated it for days. And yet, time seems to slow, stretching each heartbeat, each breath into something heavier, more deliberate. The hallway feels longer than it should, the polished floor reflecting the muted glow of the fluorescent lights above. Each step I take toward the conference room is measured, purposeful, echoing softly, a quiet metronome marking the rhythm of anticipation. The conference room is bright with the projector's glow, though the light seems almost alive, flickering subtly across polished surfaces and the faces of my colleagues. Shadows bend and stretch across the table, a delicate choreography of light and dark. The hum of the projector blends with the low murmurs of the team, a quiet soundtrack to a moment charged with unspoken tension. Every sound, from the scratch of pens to the subtle shuffle of papers, seems amplified, each tiny note striking with clarity. I inhale slowly, feeling the smooth surface of my laptop beneath my hands. Cold, solid, familiar, grounding. Its weight is comforting. A tactile reminder that control is within my grasp. Every backup I've organized, every timestamp I've verified, every version history meticulously cataloged, all of it rests beneath my fingertips. Proof, irrefutable, undeniable, ready to speak for me when the room still doubts. I let my eyes scan the faces around me, noting the micro-expressions, the slight widening of eyes, the almost imperceptible twitch of a lip, a colleague's hand tightening around a pen, knuckles whitening. Subtle movements, but meaningful. Every one of them tells a story of assumption, overconfidence, and impending realization. I commit each detail to memory, knowing that they will become part of the symphony of revelation. The air smells faintly of coffee, warm and slightly bitter, mingling with the cool sterility of the conference room. I notice the hum of computers in the background, the distant clatter of a chair, the faint squeak of a floor tile as someone shifts in their seat. Every sensory detail sharpens my focus, heightening the anticipation, each element contributing to the weight of the moment. I feel a flicker of amusement, quiet and private, curling at the edge of my thoughts. They believe they can take credit. They think the work can be stolen. They think the hours, the insight, the strategy are invisible. But they are wrong. Every calculation, every graph, every note bears my fingerprint. And now, the moment is here to let the truth speak. I let my gaze drift to the projector screen. The first slides hum softly into view, images and data scrolling into place, precise and complete. The glow reflects faintly on the polished table, catching pens, laptops, the occasional swirl of coffee cup steam. It all seems cinematic in the hush that has fallen over the room, the anticipatory stillness that precedes revelation. I take another measured breath. The smooth click of the laptop opening, the subtle rustle of folders, the faint tap of my fingers across the keyboard. They all echo slightly in the quiet, punctuating the tension. Each sound seems magnified, a heartbeat of action that resonates in the space around me. I scan the colleagues again. Their energy has shifted, almost imperceptibly, as if sensing the inevitability in the air. The senior associate shifts in the chair, a small flicker of nervous energy in posture and gesture. The boss leans slightly forward, eyes narrowing, a faint tightening of the jaw. The junior team members glance toward the screen, uncertainty flickering across their faces. Every reaction is subtle, yet deeply telling. I pause, allowing the weight of the moment to settle, letting time dilate. My hands hover over the keyboard, fingers poised. I savor the quiet confidence that comes with preparation. Years of diligence, patience, strategic observation, all converging in this singular instant. The folder of time-stamped slides, the careful cataloging of edits, the documented version histories, they are all ready. Every piece aligns perfectly, waiting for the precise moment to speak. A faint smile tugs at the corner of my lips. Not triumphant, not mocking, just a quiet acknowledgment of inevitability. The storm is about to break, and yet I am serene, calm, collected, poised. Every breath measured, every blink deliberate, every inch of space around me a silent witness to the proof I am about to lay bare. I let my gaze sweep the room one final time. Micro-expressions ripple, a quick narrowing of the eyes, a tightening of the jaw, a slight shift in weight. Subtle tension, almost imperceptible, but it feels electric. The room is suspended in anticipation, caught between ignorance and realization. I touch the trackpad lightly. The files open, projecting into the glow of the screen. My name appears. Timestamps line up. Version histories display in full detail. Every edit, every correction, every insight documented, irrefutable. The room holds its breath, unknowing yet feeling the shift. Facts don't lie, I whisper under my breath. Not loud, not confrontational, just truth. Quietly, undeniably. The atmosphere thickens, each colleague, each gesture, each involuntary movement magnified. The senior associate blinks, caught off guard. The boss's shoulders stiffen imperceptibly. Even the quietest team member fidgets, aware that something has changed, even if they cannot yet name it. I take another measured breath. Fingers hover, eyes steady, posture calm. The proof is displayed. The room's energy shifts subtly, almost imperceptibly, like the first ripple across a still pond. Every reaction catalogued, every micro-expression stored, every heartbeat observed. And then, just as subtly as it began, the realization spreads. Awareness blooms in their eyes. Recognition seeps into posture, into gestures, into glances that flit between each other as silent understanding dawns. The confidence that once filled the room has faltered, replaced by acknowledgment, uncertainty, and quiet respect. I let the silence stretch, savoring the clarity of the moment. Calm triumph fills me, not prideful, not boastful, just certain. The storm I anticipated has arrived, not through shouting, not through confrontation, but through patience, evidence, and integrity. The room has been set. Every piece of proof, every timestamp, every carefully collected version is now undeniable. I lean back slightly, fingertips brushing the laptop. Smooth plastic, cold, controlled, ready. The air hums with anticipation, stillness, and the faint undercurrent of recognition. Every detail I've anticipated, every subtle movement, every micro-expression, it all leads to this precise, cinematic instant. And in that quiet, charged moment, I allow myself a faint, private smile. Not at them, not for spectacle, for me. For the knowledge that preparation, patience, and truth speak louder than any claim, louder than any assumption, louder than arrogance. I exhale slowly, feeling the weight of inevitability settle in. Every backup, every timestamp, every version history. Aligned, verified, irrefutable, proof complete, ready. The room is theirs no longer. I tap the keys, bringing up the hidden folder. The file opens, projected onto the screen. My name appears, crisp and undeniable. Every edit logged, every change documented with precise timestamps. The air shifts subtle at first, like the first ripple before a wave. Facts don't lie, I whisper. A quiet affirmation for myself. Not a challenge, not a confrontation, just truth. Laid bare. The room reacts. It starts slow, an almost imperceptible pause. Heads tilting toward the screen. Eyes widen. A hand drifts to a mouth, stifling a gasp. Then it accelerates. Murmured whispers. Nervous shuffling of papers. Quick glances exchanged like silently asked questions. They are stunned. Their confidence, carefully built over the past days, falters before something they cannot deny. I remain calm, fingers resting lightly on the laptop. No fury, no raised voice, just the steady illumination of the truth. Each micro-expression is a note in the symphony of revelation. The senior associate's smirk falters. A colleague freezes mid-sentence, realizing the work they claimed is mine. The boss leans forward, jaw tight, brow furrowed, caught between disbelief and acknowledgment. I walk slowly toward the table, projecting nothing but composure. My eyes sweep across the room. Every hesitation, every startled glance, every flicker of shame or surprise is catalogued in my mind, not for vengeance, but as confirmation. The truth always speaks louder than anger. I point to the slides, calmly highlighting each version, each edit, each timestamp. The evidence is undeniable. My labor, my hours, my intellect all documented. I feel a quiet thrill of precision. They cannot argue, cannot shift responsibility. The room is mine in that moment, not because I dominated it, but because I allowed the facts to do the talking. Murmurs rise, hushed and awkward. I didn't realize. A voice trails off. The senior associate clears his throat. A tight, forced sound. The boss glances toward me, the authority in his posture faltering. I remain seated, hands folded lightly, exuding quiet confidence. I notice the subtle things. A colleague pressing lips together in embarrassment, another shifting uneasily in the chair, eyes downcast. Each tiny reaction reinforces the clarity of the moment. My calm is a mirror. They panic. They flounder, the disparity undeniable. I exhale slowly, letting the weight of silence settle. No applause, no celebration, just the undeniable clarity of what is true. The projector flickers slightly as if accentuating the moment. Shadows dance across faces, highlighting tension, disbelief, and the faintest trace of respect. I lean back, a small, private smile on my lips. Composure maintained. Triumph earned, not claimed. The storm has passed. If you've ever been overlooked or underpaid, this part's for you. And if you feel that, hit that. The room is quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that makes every shuffle of paper, every faint cough, every chair creak resonate like an announcement. The projector hums softly, casting my work across the polished conference table. Every slide, every chart, every annotation speaks louder than words ever could. My name glows on the screen, clear, undeniable. I feel the weight of it in the air, a subtle shift that almost vibrates. The boss is frozen, hands steepled, jaw tight. He leans slightly forward, then back, then forward again, as if trying to read the screen through sheer force of will. He swallows, and I notice the tiny twitch of his Adam's apple. Micro-expression, disbelief, recognition. He knows what's happened, even if he cannot yet fully speak it aloud. Across the table, the senior associate shifts nervously, fingers drumming lightly on the polished surface. His earlier smugness, the confident aura he carried in like armor, has faltered into something softer. Hesitation, doubt, subtle guilt. He glances sideways at the others, as if searching for validation, reassurance, maybe even solidarity, but finds none. The tension is palpable, almost tactile, like static in the air. The junior colleague across from me bites the inside of their cheek, eyes wide, reflecting the glow of the projector. Their fingers tremble slightly as they fidget with a pen, rolling it between their hands. I can feel the shift in the room, not loud, not dramatic, but precise, measurable, a slow wave of acknowledgment rippling outward from the truth I have just laid bare. I remain composed, hands resting lightly on the table, shoulders back, every exhale measured, every blink deliberate, calm, professional, controlled. My posture alone speaks volumes. I do not need to shout to reclaim my authority. My presence, steady and unwavering, does that for me. A faint shuffle of papers echoes across the room. Someone clears their throat nervously. The CEO, who entered quietly to observe the meeting, stands near the doorway. Their gaze is sharp, analytical, but it lands on me with recognition, not of anger, not of confrontation, but of integrity. A subtle nod of acknowledgment, respect, validation. I notice all the small movements, cataloging them like notes in a symphony. The boss glances at the senior associate. The senior associate glances at a peer. The junior colleague looks down at the table. Eyes flicker, brows crease, lips pressed together. A subtle collective realization. The work is mine, and the truth is indisputable. The projector flickers. Light spills across polished desks, catching pens, papers, even the faint sheen of perspiration on foreheads. Shadows lengthen, soften, retreat. Every movement, every reaction, is highlighted. The room is a stage, and the truth has taken center spotlight. I lean slightly forward, fingers brushing the edge of the laptop. I do not speak. I do not gesture. The room is speaking through itself, through hesitation, through whispers, through the small adjustments of posture and gaze. The contrast between my calm and their nervous energy is a quiet but powerful authority. My inner monologue drifts through the moment, not in anger, but in reflection, relief, dignity, integrity. Hours of work, late nights, meticulous attention, all acknowledged without me needing to raise my voice. Recognition achieved through the undeniable clarity of facts. I glance briefly at the boss. His usual confident demeanor has softened into something else. Respect mixed with guilt. A subtle, almost imperceptible shift in his posture acknowledges the misstep, the error, the oversight. The team had been wrong, and they know it. Yet, the acknowledgement is quiet, understated. No theatrics, no dramatics, just truth. A colleague murmurs, barely audible. I didn't realize. The voice falters, hesitant. Another adjusts their chair nervously, a hand brushing their hair back in a gesture that conveys unease. Eyes dart around the room, measuring, recalibrating. Recognition spreads slowly, like sunlight creeping across a shadowed floor. The CEO steps further into the room, allowing the silence to stretch. The authority in their presence reshapes the space, amplifying the effect of the reveal. They glance at me, nod faintly, the acknowledgement unspoken but unmistakable. My work, my proof, my integrity validated at the highest level. I notice subtle gestures of contrition from colleagues. The senior associate's shoulders slump imperceptibly. The junior colleague straightens slightly, respect mingling with residual embarrassment. Even the boss's hands relax slowly from their steepled position, fingertips brushing together in a gesture that hints at understanding, not just authority. The air shifts. The smell of coffee, faint but persistent, feels grounding, comforting. I exhale deliberately, letting the tension settle around me. Every heartbeat, every slow inhale, reinforces the restoration of balance. My work has been reclaimed, my contribution visible and acknowledged. I allow myself a small, private smile. Not for arrogance, not for superiority, but for justice done quietly, professionally. The room remains charged, but the energy has changed. Where there was assumption and dismissal, there is now recognition. Where there was oversight and arrogance, there is now respect, tinged with humility. The projector hums softly, almost reverently, as if marking the moment. Shadows flicker across the table, across pens, across faces. Each micro-expression cataloged in my memory, every raised brow, every hesitant glance, every subtle nod, a testament to the power of preparation, composure, and truth. The boss finally speaks, voice low and careful. "Jordan." I falters, then exhales. No anger, no defensiveness, just acknowledgement. He knows the work is mine, and the weight of it has shifted. Colleagues murmur, hesitant, as if tasting the truth for the first time. Respect enters the room quietly, measured, like a soft current under the surface. The narrative has shifted. The balance of power, subtle but unmistakable, has been restored. I close the laptop with deliberate care. Fingers brush the smooth surface, the tactile confirmation of hours of labor and careful strategy. The room hums quietly with lingering tension, but my place is secure. Recognition is earned, not demanded. The CEO steps closer, eyes meeting mine briefly. A nod, small but powerful. Leadership acknowledges what was once overlooked: validation, integrity, dignity. I rise slowly, posture straight, shoulders back, head held high. Calm, professional, commanding without aggression. The subtle energy in the room acknowledges it. My work, my labor, my truth, now clear to all. As I glance around, absorbing the room's micro-reactions, the nervous shuffling, the faint glances of guilt, the small sparks of respect, I feel a quiet satisfaction. Relief, yes, but deeper than that, a reaffirmation of who I am, what I do, and the value of truth, handled with patience and precision. The meeting continues, but the dynamics have irrevocably shifted. Every micro-expression, every whispered acknowledgement, every subtle posture adjustment reinforces it. The room recognizes it. Leadership recognizes it. And I, calm, composed, confident, have reclaimed my narrative. I straighten once more, feeling the weight of my restored integrity settle comfortably on my shoulders. The office hums around me, the scent of coffee lingering, shadows stretching across the polished surfaces. I exhale, a controlled, deliberate release of tension, satisfaction coursing quietly through me. Integrity preserved, recognition earned, authority recalibrated. And in that composed, quiet, professional moment, I know at every careful observation, every late night, every painstakingly collected proof has culminated in this balance restored. I glance at the slides one last time, then at the team. Calmly, quietly, I whisper under my breath, "Time to return what's mine." The office hums softly in the late afternoon. Computers whisper, printers tick in distant corners, and faint footsteps echo down the hallways. The fluorescent lights glow gently above, diffusing into a calm, warm ambiance. Outside, the sun leans low, spilling golden stripes across polished floors and glass walls. The world carries on, unaware of the subtle shift that has taken place inside this room. A shift measured, deliberate, undeniable. I sit at my desk, hands resting lightly on the smooth surface, fingertips tracing faint scratches and grooves. Each mark tells a story of persistence, attention to detail, hours spent ensuring accuracy. My eyes drift over the files and notes I meticulously organized, the timestamps, the version histories, all proofs of work, of patience, of quiet diligence. The meeting is over. The projector is off, but the glow of victory lingers like a soft halo. I exhale slowly, letting the relief sink into my shoulders. There is no rush, no need for celebration, no need to prove anything further. Truth has done its work. I think back to the subtle moments in the conference room, the micro-expressions, the nervous shifts, the fleeting glances of recognition that finally acknowledged the reality. Those moments were not about humiliation, not about petty revenge. They were about integrity reclaimed, about justice executed with precision, not emotion. I allow myself a small, private smile. The satisfaction is quiet but profound. It is not fueled by others' embarrassment or discomfort. It is born of clarity, of knowing that what I built, what I contributed, cannot be erased when backed by evidence and approached with patience. You don't have to shout to be heard, I think, letting the words settle like a mantra. Truth speaks louder. The hum of the office fills the space, familiar and grounding. The scent of coffee lingers faintly, mingling with the warmth of sunlight. I lean back in my chair, eyes drifting to the window, watching the shadowed patterns of blinds stretch across the floor. Light and shadow, clarity and subtlety, precision and patience. Everything aligned. I reflect on the journey to this moment. The frustration of discovery, the simmering anger, the temptation to react impulsively, each a test of character, each a reminder that integrity is not a feeling but a choice, not a momentary reaction but a sustained approach, the choice to act with patience, to prepare, to let evidence guide action rather than impulse. Colleagues pass by outside, some glancing in briefly. Their faces show a mixture of awareness and respect, though few words are spoken. I do not seek validation in their reactions. The acknowledgment that matters, the one that endures, is the one rooted in truth and in the self-assured knowledge of one's own contribution. I reach for my coffee cup, feeling its warmth seep into my hands. The smooth ceramic, the faint roughness of the handle, the bitter scent, all small sensory reminders of groundedness, of calm. I take a slow sip, closing my eyes for a moment. This is peace, quiet triumph, integrity recognized. My mind traces back to the CEO's subtle nod, the quiet acknowledgement from leadership. Formal recognition may follow, but it is not the ultimate measure. The measure is in knowing that work done ethically, diligently, with precision and patience, cannot be erased, cannot be stolen, cannot be diminished. I glance at the time-stamped files on my laptop. Each slide, each note, each version history line a silent testament. They are not just proof of work, they are proof of persistence, proof that ethical diligence carries weight beyond immediate perception. They speak louder than words, louder than claims, louder than arrogance or assumption. I allow my thoughts to drift, contemplating the subtle dynamics that play out in offices everywhere. The assumption that credit can be claimed, the temptation to overshadow others, the small injustices that ripple quietly. I think about how often the true work, the unseen labor, is overlooked or dismissed. And I remind myself, integrity is both shield and sword. Patience is power. Evidence is undeniable. My shoulders relax further, spine straight, head high, calm, proud, empowered. The peace is not passive. It is active. It is the result of careful thought, strategic action, and moral clarity. The quiet control over circumstance. The deliberate choice to respond with evidence, with clarity, with professionalism. I look around my workspace. The soft glow of the afternoon sun catches the edges of the polished desk, the corners of stacked folders, the faint smudges on my laptop screen. These mundane details, once overlooked, now feel like markers of triumph. The tangible traces of work and preparation, all meticulously documented, all undeniable. In my mind, I hear the whispered refrain again. You don't have to shout to be heard. Truth speaks louder. Facts, evidence, diligence, they carry weight beyond volume or bravado. And when wielded with patience and integrity, they shape respect, acknowledgement, and authentic recognition. I lean back further, letting the chair cradle me, eyes half closed, listening to the faint hum of the office. It is a rhythm of continuity, of normalcy resumed, but within it I feel the subtle shift, the recognition, the respect, the recalibrated understanding of who I am and what I contribute. I feel the empowerment that comes not from defeating others, but from standing firmly in one's own worth. I reflect, too, on the broader significance, the courage to trust evidence, to act with patience, to maintain professionalism under pressure. These are tools not just for victory, but for sustainability in one's career and self-worth, for Black professionals, for women, for anyone navigating a world that often undervalues contribution. This is a reminder. Integrity is the compass, patience is the power, and self-worth is unassailable when rooted in truth. The light shifts slightly through the blinds. Shadows stretch and recede. I feel the passage of time quietly marking this moment. It is not a dramatic finale, not a public spectacle, but it is infinitely satisfying. The story of labor, patience, and integrity has been preserved. The narrative belongs to the truth, and to me. I reach forward, brushing a folder into neat alignment on my desk. Each action deliberate, each movement calm, every detail in order, my proof, my work, my integrity all intact, all recognized. And in the quiet of the office, in the gentle hum of computers, the distant whisper of conversation, the lingering scent of coffee, I allow a moment of reflection. I am proud, not boastful, not vindictive, but quietly, fully proud. Of work done with integrity, of patience exercised under provocation, of truth reclaimed with precision. I rise slowly, standing tall. The afternoon light warms my face. Shadows fall across the desk, across the polished floor. Calm, serene, empowered, I feel the quiet weight of self-worth, of authenticity, of moral strength. The office around me continues its rhythm. Meetings will be scheduled, work will continue, people will move through their days, but the record is clear. The truth has spoken. My contribution is undeniable, and the respect earned, quietly, deliberately, will endure. I take one last breath, deep and measured, exhaling slowly. My gaze drifts to the window, golden light spilling across the floor, warm and steady. You don't have to shout to be heard. Truth speaks louder. And in that quiet, reflective moment, I understand it fully. Integrity, patience, and evidence-based action are not just tools, they are empowerment. They are self-worth made tangible. They are recognition earned, authentically, ethically, unshakably. I allow a faint, private smile to curl at my lips. Not for them, not for the office, but for me. For the knowledge that work done rightly, patiently, and with care cannot be stolen, cannot be diminished, cannot be ignored. And in that glow, in that quiet certainty, I feel the weight of empowerment settle fully on my shoulders. Calm, proud, seen, recognized, authentic. The office hums on. The sun continues to shift. The day flows forward, and I remain steady, poised, grounded. I have been heard, without shouting, because truth at its quietest speaks the loudest. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this story. If it spoke to you, hit subscribe and stay tuned for more stories that heal, inspire, and remind us who we are. For every Black woman told to stay quiet, speak anyway.